Hello, everyone. This is your coach Yeboah. It has been quite a while on podcasts. I've been busy on YouTube, and so today I wanted to stop by and just share a couple of things on my mind. Now, let me just say that this podcast, this episode, I named it What I Wish I Knew Before Marriage. Now, it's not personal as it sounds because I have the opportunity to work with a lot of couples, and I've been able to gather from experience and from also learning and teaching and also counseling and coaching and all of that. So I've compiled a very short list that I'm going to share with you today. And so stay tuned. What I wish I knew before marriage. So many of us get married and we are very unrealistic. So many of us get married and we don't know the truth about marriage, or we're not around people who do share the truth about marriage. So we end up being very delusional. We end up wishing and hoping, on the clouds and think that will suffice. Now, the first thing that leads you to a partner is love, right? There's some kind of attraction. There's some kind of feeling, emotion that draws you to this person. You like them. And so you start moving forward and dating and going out. And as you're going out, you kind of focus on the fun. Nobody tells you this, but indirectly, you want to be a fun person. You don't want to be a party pooper. So you end up going along with things that you normally wouldn't have went along with. And guess what? In so doing, you don't really set your standard. You don't make it clear. You don't make a clear demarcation where you begin, where they stop. You don't set boundaries as you ought. Now, this is not for everybody, because there are those people that do set boundaries and others that set a bit too much boundary. But boundaries are for you. It's to protect you. It's not for the other person. Okay. So let me just jump right in and talk about a few things that I wish I knew. And I know many, many, many. This will help many, many young people and help many singles as well. That communication is key. You cannot do anything without communication. Effective communication is so essential when it comes to getting married. Learning to express your feelings, your needs, your concerns without, any judgment from the other person. It's so important. Otherwise, you end up in misunderstandings, and that just breeds a lot of resentment in a relationship. So I wish I knew that communication was everything, because guess what? If you know that communication is everything, then you learn to communicate with your siblings. You learn to communicate with your friends, with your family, with your coworkers. Many of us, no matter what age, are still struggling with communication, because there is a way to communicate, and it must be effective in order for you to get your point across, in order for you to be able to resolve conflicts, etc., etc. I wish I knew that changes will happen. I think a lot of people get married and they're very delusional and don't think that there will be changes. Both partners will grow. They will change over time. Like, it goes without saying. You must be able to adapt and be supportive of one another's growth, because growth is inevitable. You can't just be there without growing. It's crucial. If you met somebody in high school, I pray they change. But unrealistically, we get into these relationships and we think, oh, they're not going to grow. They're going to be who they are like now, or we may expect them to grow, but very unrealistic on what we want them to grow in. Does that make sense? We set ourselves up with some expectations that the other person may not be able to meet. Also, you might meet somebody who lives a certain way, has a certain value, or believes certain things, and you think that love will be enough to overlook what their behavior is, or you think love will be enough to overlook the bad things that they do. Maybe they're abusive. Maybe they don't believe in God like you do. Maybe they don't have faith. Maybe, they believe in just spending money and not saving. All these things, you must know that these things are they're real, and it's things that you must address. So one of the things that I also learned, and I know will benefit you, is that, people change, right? People change. And so if you don't expect change, then you're shocked by the change, and then you get overwhelmed by the change, and then you run away. Then you get into the relationship. You're like, I don't want this. This is not me. Like, who did I marry? And then you don't know how to handle it, how to address it. Listen, this goes without saying, but I hope you know that you can't involve other people in your relationship, in your marriage. Because you know what? Family, they have their own feelings, their own thoughts. They have what they believe in. They have what they want. And there are people that also don't want the relationship. So you have to be mindful of that. So I hope and wish you know that you cannot put your business out there, because there are people waiting to throw you under the bus. There are people waiting to destroy that marriage. So you don't want to advertise everything that you're going through. Even to your friends that you think care and love you. You never know. Care and love you. They may not. They just may be jealous of you and what you have. So knowing how to preserve your relationship is wisdom, right? And also that conflict is normal. We love people, we care for them, and we never think that you will ever get into conflict. One of the things that happen when you're supposed to be with certain people is, like, I'm talking about divine relationships. One of the key things that will happen is that the relationship will be tested. How does it get tested? The relationship will come to a place where your loyalty will be tested, right? And offense will come. I always share this with people, that one of the greatest clues that a relationship is meant to be is, how you handle offense, right? A lot of people get offended and they run from the relationship. They cancel you out, right? They change the way they are towards you. They become resentful. But guess what? Offense will come, and offense comes to test the nature of the relationship. And if you cannot go through thick and thin and overcome and talk about disagreements, then perhaps the relationship is not meant to be, because you must be able to resolve conflicts. Disagreements are inevitable. Okay, conflict is inevitable. Is how you resolve the conflict that matters. So it's not about avoiding conflict, right? So you love someone so much that you don't think that you ever fight with them. Well, newsflash, you will fight with that person you said I do too. You will fight them. The same person you're laughing, going on vacation, playing around, doing things and overlooking their bad behaviors right now, you're going to be offended by the same behaviors you laughed at. Okay? And so how do you resolve conflict? You have to handle it respectfully and also constructively. Most of us don't know how to resolve conflict, so we always run. You're talking to somebody, you have a friend, all of a sudden they're mad at you, and then they run from the relationship. They don't want to talk to you no more. That's okay. You have to figure out that, this cannot be avoided in marriage. Marriage conflict is expected. Don't go picking fights, right? But understand that it is expected. It is very normal. How you resolve it is what matters the most. Also, so the last thing I will share here is that shared values are so important. Your values must be aligned, your goals and those things, they strengthen your relationship. So you must discuss finance, family planning. How many kids do you want? Like, even the amount of kids can cause people to get divorced, Those things are important. Career aspirations, that what God has called you to do, your calling, your assignment. Is your spouse okay with it? Is this person going to support you in your endeavors? A lot of people don't think about those things, but they matter. So they get into the relationship and they end up running away because they didn't expect it. So these are some of the things I wish I knew, and many others that I've worked with wish they knew. Be blessed.